Hey everyone, it is Diaperperv,
And I'm Livewire.
and we are going to go over some general advice questions that you asked me on my social medias. Number 1.
All right, the first question is advice for a couple who want to go see a pro-dom mommy.
Great. Okay, so if you want to see a diaper fantasy facilitator, and then make sure that your partner knows as well. Don't
Right.
just surprise them
No
with
surprise,
it.
yeah, that would end badly.
Yeah, and maybe make some objectives beforehand. Like talk about what you want to achieve. Do you both want to be little, or do you want the person and the guy to be the daddy and mommy? Do you want a family dynamic? Are you going to switch in the middle of the session?
That makes a lot of sense because sometimes people, or say, I'm just going to say a guy, brings his wife there as a learning lesson.
Yeah.
Because to be trained, like this is what I like and I would like you to do, and has the dom mommy train the wife, so to speak, help in the fantasy of what the person likes. Not all cases, but that does happen.
Yes, and I've done sessions with couples. I've done all these scenarios.
Right. I think that's super honest too. Like the guy's not hiding anything, or
Yeah.
that person's not hiding anything, I should say. And he's being so open and honest about that experience. And
Right.
you've been in yourself.
Yes, and I love doing sessions with couples because it was not a challenge. It's kind of a challenge because maybe they both want different things, or maybe I'm doing my thing and she's learning, but I'm also incorporating her into the scenario and have her take an active part in being the top person and what to do.
That's harder than it looks because you're teaching somebody
Yes.
something that maybe they've not experienced before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's interesting.
It is interesting, yeah.
That's really cool.
Maybe I do like teaching. Wait, okay, so talk about your objectives first. Clear communication with the facilitator, and also talk about limits. And that's something that I was kind of shy about approaching. Like, can I use the wand over his diaper? Is that inappropriate, or will that be crossing the boundary? And I wish I had the experience I have now to broach that subject before we
Right.
start.
And you have a list as well.
I do.
They can direct that a couple to
A
go
checklist,
look.
yeah.
They can find somebody in their area, make sure that person's vetted, make sure that person is well maybe known in the community with what you want to experience. Because if you go to some dominatrix but you want ABDL, maybe that's not her subject matter expertise.
And also I've noticed, just on a side rant here, that there are people who are doing professional facilitating sessions, but they only want to do age play. And they only will do these things.
Right.
Which is like coloring, read you a story, and then bedtime. And nothing kind of DL related or diaper fetish related. Send them your scenario, your ideal scenarios beforehand to make sure that they're okay with it.
Right, communication is the key. How can I get my non-ABDL partner to be okay with me attending local ABDL munches?
My personal advice is bring them to the Munch.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Like, there's no need for you to exclude them because I feel like if you don't know what a munch entails and you've never been to one, then all sorts of things are going to go through your head, just like all sorts of things are going to go through your partner's head.
100%.
Yeah.
Because what you're thinking about in your imagination might not happen at all. We're not walking around in diapers and say we're in a public park. We're talking like adults, maybe about different subjects. I'm not saying there's no talk about ABL things, but we're very respectful out in public. You know, because there's all kinds of people walking around. And so sometimes people's expectations, they're very surprised when they come to their first munch and they're like, wow, these people are just like me. They're normal. They're cooking and sharing games and things like that. So that is a great point about just bring them, and there's a lot of trust too. You bring them out to this, oh, okay, there's a lot of trust in that too.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
All right, number 3. Maybe not now, but in the future, could you see an ABDL daycare center working as a business model? Perhaps as ABDL grows via public interest, which seems to be the case.
It could work if it's not 24/7, if it's not open every single day,
Right.
and maybe if it's open like 1 or 2 days out of the week in a very large city. I'm talking like LA, maybe here, New York, New Jersey.
Yeah, that's a lot of recharge that goes on. You need a staff that's not going to get burned out. There's never enough staff. And I've heard of like a couple different places, like in Thailand or something like that. There's an experience that people can go to some...
Oh, no, I think that's just sessions.
Oh, okay.
But do you think people will go? Like if there was an ABDL daycare center here, like a fantasy
Yeah.
drop-in center? Because I don't
yeah.
see it as daycare. I just see it more of as like a drop-in social place where they can be little, have all the little stuff, dress how they want, and maybe have a caregiver changing.
Right. I mean, I think it's a great idea, and it's probably the fantasy
Mhm.
of a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
But like getting down to where the rubber meets the road and the brass tacks, there's a lot of logistics in that, and people have to support it.
Right.
And sometimes they don't support a local brick and mortar store. They
Yeah.
wanna, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of ifs. I think it's a great idea. I do. If I won a lottery, I probably would open up a place like that in Pahrump area.
How much would you charge?
Well, you got to be fair to the people and the staff, so it'd probably be a couple $100 an hour.
Whoa.
Yeah, because you have to pay for food and supplies, but you got to pay for that person's time. Say there's a mommy there or something, you got to pay them for that time.
Right.
It's really no different than a session. It's just a little bit more structured differently. You're probably not going to have 50, 60 people a
No.
day there. It's probably
No.
going to be a little bit more, and rent's got to be paid. So I think, like I said, there's a lot of logistics that have
Yeah.
to be looked at.
That's true. I don't think people are going to pay that much.
No,
Not
I don't
even
either.
$100 an hour. I feel
Right.
like people would complain about that and not,
Right,
and or just even the affordability of that.
right. And that's what I'm saying. That's why, one, you get what you pay for, but two, it's a great business model, but it might collapse because the realities of what a person should pay to keep that place open.
Mhm.
And like you said, 2 days a week or something is probably fair, you know?
Yeah, I can't see that really working. Maybe just go to Capcom.
Right.
Just go to events and
Go to events, right.
create your own thing, you know?
Right.
Okay.
So there was another second part here, another question that I think learning more about ABDL hypnosis might be beneficial. I'm curious about your hypno experiences.
I have no experience in real hypnosis. I've read a couple books on hypnosis and I understand the steps of like induction and being in the trance and stuff. I don't feel confident in doing that.
Okay. All right, number 4. Why do I desire to be incontinent?
Well, because you like the fantasy of complete loss of control
Right.
and needing diapers and not knowing when you wet until you reach down and feel it or you feel the warmth, and it's a great fantasy.
There used to be a magazine called Nugget,
Yeah.
and people would write in about amputation fantasies and how they really wanted to be without a leg.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think that's people not really thinking about it. Like people think, oh, incontinence would be a great idea until all of a sudden the cost hits them because you're not wearing normal clothes, or if you are, you're doing laundry all the time. There's
Yeah.
a lot of things to think about.
It is a lot. You have to
know.
bring your supplies everywhere. You have
Right.
to be around a bathroom that where you can change.
Diapers are getting expensive. There's
Yeah.
tariffs going on. There's, you know,
Yeah.
a lot of these new ABDL diapers come from China, and some come from Canada, and there's tariffs now.
I think the closest way that you can achieve that feeling is by using a catheter. And there are some people who do that for a short period of time
Right.
to bring that fantasy to life.
Right. Number 5, With your expertise, what's the best way to deal with someone who is in between diaper sizes, large size plus booster?
I would probably recommend going up a size
Right.
and then just making the tapes tighter.
Mm-hmm.
Or using a booster to fill that extra room.
Space, yeah.
Yeah, or try different brands of diaper because they all are cut differently and fit slightly differently.
Right.
Like if you have bigger thighs, then I feel like crinkles is thinner in the middle and allows more room for the thigh.
Right, and they have bariatric diapers that are made for larger people, but I understand the question because, like you said, not all diapers fit exactly the same. One brand might fit you really perfectly and you like it, and the next brand might be a little loose.
Yeah, so just try and buy some sample packs.
Yeah, samples for sure. Yep.
Or borrow them from other people.
Yeah.
Just bum them.
Do you think ABDL and oral fixation have a link with things like passy and chewy toys?
If you already have the oral fixation, then yeah, you would have to find things that are safe to put in your mouth, and pacifiers are safe, chewy,
Right.
toys, the ones that you put in the freezer, like teething.
Yeah, the teething rings
yeah.
or something. That also is not going to define every single person.
No.
It could be a comfort thing,
Yeah. Yeah.
Like some people like stuffies, other people like pillows,
Yeah, some people like sucking their thumbs.
Right? Yeah.
I don't know.
Um,
I'm not ABDL, I don't have these things. Stop asking me hard questions.
all right. What would you say is the best platform for dating to find a mommy or a girlfriend?
Okay, what is the best platform? I would say just dating and finding a girlfriend and then introducing her to it.
Like, be honest, communicate. You might fall flat on your face, but at least you're honest about it.
Yeah, and if you're asking what platform, it just depends on your age group. Like people that are older, are on Facebook. I'm not on Facebook. I hate it. But I know people that have met their other halves on Facebook.
Right.
Some people meet them, going to events and stuff. Meeting how you would meet people
Communicate
to
effectively.
date.
Yeah, I don't
For
think that's something you spring on the first date.
No, I know people that have done that and
Wow.
and were completely successful with it.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
All right, number 8. How do you become so discreet during public car changes, public outings, and what can we do to make subtle changes, improvements in this atmosphere?
Well, I feel like if you're being discreet already and you look around, make sure there's no one looking at you, there's no kids, there's no cameras right there, and you just are aware of your surroundings, then you're doing a good job.
Right. What do you think about the overlap between autism, ABDL, and transgenderism?
There are a lot of people on the spectrum, and there are a lot of trans people, but I don't necessarily think it's because it's ABDL, because I see a lot of people in those two groups in other communities in life.
Right.
Like in the furry community and in the Doctor Who community.
Right.
And in other subcultures like that, and fandoms.
Yeah, there's people all through different walks of life who have different interests in every sub-genre that you can possibly think about. I don't think it really defines...
No, I think maybe we're just more aware of it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think social media pumps up the awareness because
Yeah.
they'll see somebody, say, on YouTube with, maybe they're on the spectrum and they've got a lot of followers and you think, maybe they're getting it in their mind like that. But
Right. But yeah, I know just as many people on the spectrum in, say, the haunt community that enjoy that.
Yeah.
I think when there's a hyper focus on something, it just attracts a lot of people. But maybe people on the spectrum, they enjoy the fandomness
Yeah.
and the community, and they're really accepted.
Just a little connectivity they're looking for, and to be
Yeah.
a part of it,
Yeah.
welcomed. You
Yeah.
know. All right.
Oh,
Number 10. What's a piece of advice that you'd give someone new to the fetish kink? What aspect would you start with in a beginner scene for someone brand new to kink?
Okay, so these are two different questions, right? What advice would you give someone who's new to it?
Research and learn.
Yes.
That's the first thing. Research and learn. There are books, there are websites that you can educate yourself. You don't have to step out the front door and be a subject matter expert. But this is something you can do on your own. And if you go to the right site, you'll find the information that you're looking for. Now, I'm not talking like a pure porn site, but an educational type, site to learn. You could also go to the library, and there's books on psychology of kink if you want to get that deep into it. It makes what people tick and things like that.
But there are a lot of good books.
By some of the people we know in the community, or recognize in the community. I don't personally know that person.
Yeah, so take the time to learn the terminology. I made a whole YouTube video about that. To just observe how people interact online. And develop some social skills maybe for when you go to your first event.
And learn and know yourself. Don't just, like, if somebody's getting spanked on an X-frame and you don't like spanking but you just want that interaction, that's probably not the best thing to do, to volunteer to do that knowing you won't like it just to get a taste of kink. Know yourself.
But how will they know if they don't experience it?
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Educate yourself of what you like. Just don't volunteer and jump in.
Oh, and jump into something you may not know.
Yeah, because you see these people that want to be accepted.
Right.
And maybe they volunteer themselves into a situation that they don't really like.
I have seen them.
Because they want to fit in.
You're right. I have experienced this as a top. And then they, kind of freak out in between or realize that they're not into it. I'm like, okay.
Which is fine. But you can do this on your own and figure out what you like. Sometimes when people fantasize about things that they think they're going to like, and then when they are in the reality of it, it's two different things. It becomes real, and then it's not fantasy anymore because they're experiencing that. What aspects would you start with in a beginner scene for someone brand new to kink?
Oh, well, I don't know if there's really a beginner scene. It's because a scene would be what you want to experience in your fantasy.
Right. I mean, I think that the first thing is making sure that person's comfortable. It's not awkward. This is okay. You're not weird for being into this, because I'm into it too, and I'm here with you.
Right.
But you're going to start out somewhere. It's going to be new the first time. But anybody who has good social skills is going to make you feel comfortable and accepted, and that's how you learn.
And also communication too. Like, I think, what would you start with? Just a diaper change.
Yeah.
And go from there and then talk.
Yeah, exactly. You'll quickly get your feet wet, and maybe you want some more, and then you go from there. And
then it's also up to you to play into it too, to give the other person feedback.
Right. I think feedback is so important. What you liked, what you want more of, what you didn't like, and
yeah. So I think the best thing, and also communication and asking for it.
All right. Okay. And number 11. What's your balance of this kink versus vanilla? And how has your interpretation on the ABDL lifestyle helped with giving advice to others?
Okay, well, number one, I don't think I'm qualified to give advice because I'm not ABDL myself, so I can't really talk about certain aspects.
So what's your balance of this kink versus vanilla? So I think that's what they're saying is, in a 24-hour period,
Oh, okay.
how much are you doing vanilla life and how much are you doing kink?
Well, most of it is vanilla
Mhm.
because my play partners don't live here.
Right.
But I guess like even when I'm organizing the munches
Mhm.
or whatever or post to social media, that's part of kink too.
Right.
But it's a fairly small part, but yet a
Yeah.
fairly big part, if
Right.
that makes sense.
It- yeah.
It's pretty balanced.
You're not 24/7.
No.
You know what I
no.
mean? It's not an unhealthy amount of time that you are in the kink world. It might be a little
Yes.
bit here.
Yeah.
Come back to it later, do something. Oh, I got to upload this video or whatever.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, and it's also my business too. So
Right.
I feel like I just section like, okay, here's my time to work
Mhm.
on the computer, right? And then I have my priorities, like my husband and family stuff is 1st. This is all the stuff I got to get done. Then I have other obligations too,
Right.
that are both lifestyle and professional for fun. And then also, Halloween and haunt stuff. So I think I have a pretty good mix, and I think it's important to have that.
100%. So you already kind of covered the advice part of it. Interpretation on the ABDL lifestyle help with giving advice to others.
I don't know what.
Yeah.
I'm not even qualified. I'm the one that asked. Like, give me your advice questions. I'm such an idiot. I asked for it.
All right. This is probably like more of a question for me than you.
Yeah.
But as an unpartnered ABDL, what's the best way to endure a number 2 so it's truly unexpected? I want to feel the humiliation of this, but when you do it yourself, you know when to expect it. And most of the time, stop it. I want it to be unstoppable and unavoidable. My best advice for that is, for one, you got to prepare a couple days in advance, eating the right foods. Think about what kind of, this is going to be a little graphic, what kind of load do you want? Do you want it just to be super messy? You eat a lot of fruit. If you want it to be a little bit more neater and big, eat a lot of dairy products like cheese and milk and ice cream. Second, they have some stuff called enemies, E-N-E-M-E-E-Z. It's a mini enema. And I promise you, it's unstoppable and it's unavoidable. Once you squirt that in, the only thing you're going to be thinking about in about 5 minutes is relief and the urge to go. I promise you. I tested it out myself. You can also eat a bunch of laxatives, but then you have unpredictability of when that's going to work its way through your system and when you're going to go. You could be in the middle of the supermarket and
I think they want that.
Yeah.
They want it to be like unexpected or whatever. But you can plan your day
Right.
too. Like if you have a day off at home or whatever.
Right.
And another thing is maybe wear a locking diaper cover and put the key in a timed device.
Block of ice.
A block, yeah.
Yeah, block of ice or something like that to make sure that it's unavoidable. There are plenty of like advice places where people talk about this. If you Google it or something like that, you could probably find more information for techniques. But enemies, I think you won't be disappointed. All right. If I want to find a partner who's open-minded about doing ABDL play, should I date specifically within the local kink scene? Or is it worth taking chances with meeting people outside of it?
I think the more you limit yourself, like, oh, I will only date in this kink scene, my local scene, right? You're really like narrowing your partners.
Yeah.
You don't know who you're going to meet. I personally know people that have met online, that have met on vanilla dating sites, and they introduce their partner to it, and now they're literally 24/7 that have met in different special interest groups and classes. So I don't think you should limit yourself, period.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, what do you think?
I kind of think the same thing. Like if you're going to kind of, almost tunnel vision yourself into one place, then you're doing yourself a disservice because you can't catch the fish if you ain't got the hook. And so you have a lot of hooks in a lot of different ways. You'll know when it's right and when it's approachable to talk to a person and find somebody, but I think you just can't really narrow yourself down. You're just doing yourself a disservice if that's what.
Yeah, yeah. It's not a good approach.
Right.
Just be open-minded.
All right, number 14, how to discover your hard limits and how to convey them to your partner in detail to describe what exactly is off limits.
Okay. I feel like you don't know your hard limits sometimes until you experience it.
Right. A lot of people use the stoplight.
Mm-hmm.
You know, hey, how are you feeling? Green. Say you're enduring a spanking or something like that. How are you doing? Communication. Green. Or, yellow. Maybe that person needs to slow down the spanking a little bit. And red to stop. So you're basically not quite using a safe word, but you're communicating how you're feeling. And a good top is going to check on you often.
Yes.
Now with hard limits, like for my own hard limits, I can't stand cigarettes. And if I was like doing a scene with somebody or whatever, I would tell them like, hey, I really don't like smoking. That's a hard limit for me. Baby food, gross. If somebody really wanted me to eat it, I probably could, but I'm probably going to projectile vomit. But that's your responsibility to communicate your limits. It's your responsibility to find out what those limits are. Oh, I might like this, but I might have a problem with it.
Right. So just tell them ahead of time.
Yeah. Write it down on a checklist. There's all kinds of checklists that you can write down, like a code, green, red, yellow, and that's great information. You can also keep a journal. Like you've had a scene, you can write down feedback in it of what you liked, what you didn't like, what you want more of, and
Specifically what your hard limits are.
Specifically, what your hard limits are. You could journal and basically write down feedback if you've had a scene. You could write down what you liked, what you didn't like. If you've discovered a hard limit, write it down. Hard limits are not to be violated, but communication is the key, and it's your responsibility to tell your play partner what that is.
So they're asking how to convey them to your partner.
Right.
So talking, like verbally, with
communication,
words?
honesty.
Yeah.
Don't pretend.
Oh,
you
yeah,
know
that's
what I mean?
worse.
Oh,
I hate it when people pretend to like something and then they're like, or they lie. To me, that's like lying.
They hold it against you, but they didn't communicate that to you. That's not, you're doing yourself a great disservice with that. Honesty is the key. Anybody is not going to punish you for hard limits that you convey. They want to hear that stuff. Why? Because they want to have a good scene just as much as you do.
Yeah. Maybe if they can't say it verbally for some reason, they should write it down and then read it together.
Right. Which is going to be negotiation of the scene anyway. That should be discussed. Hey, do you have any hard limits? And that's in the interview and talking and building up the scene. So yeah, just honesty is the key. All right.
How can I put myself in little space?
That's tough.
Preparation sometimes.
You might want to link that video, that baby Donnie, because he talked about that in great detail.
Yes.
About putting out clothes and his favorite toys and a little bit of music and ambiance and he went into great detail about that.
Yeah.
And maybe if we can find that video, you can link it.
I will, in the description box and up here.
Cool.
Okay.
But I would say, depending on what kind of little you are, if you're a toddler or if you're maybe an infant, you surround yourself with that kind of atmosphere. If you know you want to get into little space, maybe you're reading a childish book. You don't have CNN on the TV because you're hearing about adult news and situations. Maybe you put Bluey on, which I've never seen actually, but you put some cartoon on. You put your favorite stuffies around, so you're getting those images of little space.
Yeah. Oh, and then one other tip is, let's say you set the scene, right? Walk out of the room and then come back into it and pretend like your babysitter is leading you into your playroom for the first time and you see it with a different eye.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And you got your favorite stuffies. Maybe you got your blankie there, and your diapers, and the bottle. You should have things prepared too. Like you don't want to leave the room and go, oh, I forgot my bottle. Maybe make a little checklist.
Have everything you need right there. Maybe even take a nap in that environment, and then when you wake up, it's like seeing it for the first time.
That's a great idea. Because you don't want to make yourself a little checklist. Okay, I got my bottle, I got this, I got that. That way you got everything you need. You don't have to leave the room.
Yeah.
To go get something.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, that was a great question. I think we're done.
That's it.
I think so.
Yep, we're done. Okay, that took less time than I thought. Because some of the advice questions, I'm like, I don't know.
Some of those were hard.
Some of them were hard. I like feeling challenged like this.
I think the autism one was a challenging question because,
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, but it's not just ABDL. It's literally, I see people on the spectrum in every single kink.
Right.
So,
yeah.
and fandoms. And I had a talk about that with my friend who goes to a lot of fandom conventions,
Right.
like Doctor Who. And I guess people just get hyper focused on stuff, and they really enjoy something. They really enjoy it. They like go all in, which I love.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I have a lot of haunt friends that are on the spectrum too, and they're really organized.
I get it.
And focused.
I get it. That's cool. These are two good informative videos for sure.
Yep. All right. Bye, everyone.
Have fun.